Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Money Mindset Hub podcast. So I'm your host, Carla Townsend, a money mindset and success coach for female entrepreneurs that are ready to create a life and business that they never want to escape. And today I have the most beautiful guest, Sarah Waldbuesser, who is an attorney for coaches and online business owners, and also the CEO and founder of Destination Legal. So this one is for all the coaches out there and business owners that just want to understand what do they actually need legally. And it's definitely something that can be put to last, but it should come first. So after several years at a law firm and a few career jumps, she ended up falling in love with online business and loves helping entrepreneurs achieve the dream in a smart and protected way. She's also an adventurer, traveler, food and wine lover. When she's not at her computer, she loves hanging with her two little kidlets and having fun, having wine with friends, flying around the globe and connecting with other online business owners. What a dream, Sarah. What a dream. So I'm going to pass it over to you and just to give your little bit more of an intro to you and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I mean, that kind of says it all. I started Destination Legal almost 8 years ago now, because I saw a real need. I was a new online business owner, like so many of us. I wanted freedom and flexibility. For me, I have a huge passion for travel. I wanted to be able to do that. And actually, at the time, I was a digital nomad. I was traveling. I was meeting so many business owners who just, once they found out I was an attorney, it was like moss to a flame. And they were just like, what contracts do I need? And what's a privacy policy? And what about LLCs? All of these questions. And that's kind of how Destination Legal was born, because, I know that legal isn't the most sexy, just like, accounting, numbers, legal, nobody wants to deal with it. But it is really important, and it can be a thing in your business that just brings you power and confidence and is so important. So part of what I try to do is switch that mindset around on what legal is and what it can be for your business.
Yeah, and it seriously is one of the most, well, honestly, I think it's the most important thing in protecting your brand. And I'm not going to lie, Sarah, I was guilty of not putting it first when I started. I think for me, and I know a lot of people who are sort of beginning, they're like, but do I really know what it is I want to do? They're still trying to figure it out. So what would you sort of say to someone who's like, this is my business, but I'm not quite sure. I don't have complete clarity. But if they're kind of in a certain profession, you can still go ahead and get legal sorted, can't you? Before you even work out exactly what it is that you're like, yep, that's the thing.
Yeah, absolutely. My kind of rule of thumb that I tell people is just anytime you are collecting money from someone, you're getting paid, you should have a contract in place. Really, anytime you're paying someone or being paid. So, both ways, you want to have a contract in place. So, if you're just starting out as a service provider, a business owner, or coach, maybe you don't know exactly what your offerings are going to be. But if you are coaching clients, working with people, you need to have a contract in place, because the law doesn't know that you're still deciding on things, right? Like, you're opening yourself up to liability just by working with people. And so it's really one of the first things that you can get done, assuming you're taking clients or providing any kind of service.
Yeah. And I know that you do have a checklist actually for coaches, which is a coach's legal checklist, which I will pop in the show notes as well for anyone who's just like, oh God, where do I even start? Tell me all the things that I need. That's in the show notes so they can go check that out. So I suppose this is sort of from your experience, where have you found that it's sort of people haven't thought about this and things have gone a bit haywire? AWOL.
Yeah, AWOL, yeah, or haywire, yeah. Excuse me. So, with legal, it's not really a matter of if, it's when. If you're in business long enough, you're going to run into some legal issue, whether it's a client that ghosts you or doesn't pay or asks for a refund, or some issue with a trademark or copyright or something. So really, it's not avoiding it, because again, it's going to come up quicker than you think, and it's better to just have those things in place from the beginning. So one of the mistakes I see people make is just avoiding it altogether. And we all hope that 100% of our clients are going to be amazing, and 99% of them will be. But the reality is that 1% aren't going to be, right? No, I don't know of a business that has a 100% track record in terms of that. So you're going to run into something, and legal really is your safety net, right? So it's like, here in the US, health insurance, car insurance, flood insurance, everywhere people need some of those protections just for things that may happen down the road. And that's what legal is.
Yeah, that's it. And I love how you said, it's not the most sexiest thing, but it's also essential. And I feel like too, when you find someone like you that just explains it so easily and it's not dry and it's just, like, hey, have you thought about doing this? These are the kind of the things that you need. This is a great starting point. Because I definitely have heard, touch wood, so far that sort of stuff hasn't happened, but I'm also aware that, like you said, the longer you are in business, the higher the chance of something going wrong like this. So you really want to have that. It's like a risk mitigation there, just a strategy for it to not happen, or how you're going to handle it. Because, for a lot of people listening, what would you do if someone requested a refund? What would you do if someone ghosted? They might not know what to do or what they have to stand on,
Exactly. I get so many DMs, so many emails of people that run into issues, and they just don't know what to do. Like, here's what happened. I didn't have a contract. My first question is always, well, what did your contract say, right? And so then people will sheepishly be like, well, I didn't have a contract. And so without that safety net, it's really tough, and there's not much to be done. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And that's why having the contract is so important, because it gives you a place to start.
Yeah, that's it. So in terms of trademarking as well, I want to talk about that, because I know that's something that, well, you've been doing for me. So
Yeah.
I finally got to that point and thought, right, I've come too far. I really need to trademark this name. And can you talk about that and trademarking and sort of, I guess, what's involved or when someone should consider doing that? Because like I said before we hit record, I said I didn't even really love my business name, Money Mindset Hub. I didn't even love it. But then I thought, okay, I've been in a couple of magazines now. I've come too far. Everything is linked to Money Mindset Hub. So I better protect it before it is too late, because, then I would be shattered. But what would you say to anyone who's sort of thinking, is it too soon? Or maybe they're like me and they don't really love their business name, but they sort of have to.
Yeah, great. Trademarks are such a great topic and such a great thing to have in your business, because it's a business asset that you can own, right? And you own your name, you own your brand. Without it, if you're investing time and money on building brand names, whether it's your business name, a program name, a podcast name, it's like building a house on land that you don't own, right? Or I've heard this and I think it's so funny. It's like just driving around, seeing an empty house, starting to move in, and then 2 weeks later, the homeowners come home from vacation and you're out of there. So it's like, if you're investing time and money on a name that you don't own, you could lose it, and that's no good. And trademarks, again, can be bought and sold, and they're really powerful business assets, and they exist so that consumers can tell who created goods or services out in the marketplace. So, for example, if I'm walking down the street with a white cup with a green circle, you know that I went to Starbucks and not some other coffee shop. Or if I have a shoe on with a swoosh, like, you know that it's Nike and not something else. They exist so that consumers aren't confused by who's selling something. And in the online space, trademarks have really exploded over the past 5 to 8 years. One, because there's so many more online business owners, coaches now than there used to be. And there are only so many names, right? So I think in the US in the past 3 years, the number of trademark applications each year has doubled. And they're just inundated because so many people are waking up to the importance of them. And, one thing to keep in mind with trademarks is it gives you the power within your industry to make sure that no one is using your name or anything similar to it. So it's not necessarily outside of your industry. So for example, you could have a trademark for Dove chocolate and Dove soap, But that's okay, because if I say I had a great piece of Dove for lunch, like, hopefully, that I was talking about chocolate and not soap. So it is just within your industry. But, I see people these days with 7, 10, 20 trademarks because, one, they're addicting. You may start to feel this once you own something in your company. It really feels important. And so, to answer your question of like, when is the right time? Because I see really a couple of mistakes that happen. One is, someone spends years and time and money building a brand and never gets a trademark, and somebody else does, sends them a cease and desist letter, and they have to rebrand within 2 weeks or 6 weeks. That can be really hard. No one wants to spend that money or brand equity. The other is if somebody starts a brand or names their company and doesn't do any research to see if it's already trademarked. So you can just Google, check social media, see who might be using it. If somebody else is using it and potentially has a trademark, you want to steer clear of that. So that's just like a great tip. Like if you're thinking about a program name or something, just Google and see how it's being used out there. But really, in terms of, is it time to trademark? You can trademark anytime, even before you're selling something. You can actually reserve the name. Amazon has over 900 trademarks, but they're not using all of them. They're just reserving them for the future. But it's really more of an emotional thing. I like to use something called the gut punch test. So, this is similar to, like, let's say you have a great boyfriend, you've been dating him for a year, it's your year anniversary, you decide to go to Nordstrom and buy, a little bit of lingerie. You walk in and see a couple making out at the cafe, and you look over and you see that it's him, right? Like you get a giant gut punch. I like to use the gut punch test. So in the trademark world, imagine that you have the name of your company or your brand, and you've had it for a couple of years and you really think this is going to be around for a while. And then the next day you get a cease and desist in your inbox that you have to change the name. You get that gut punch. If you get a gut punch, it means it's time to trademark. So I don't know if we talked about the gut punch test, but you realized like it was time. And even if you didn't 1,000% love the name, you saw that it was valuable to your business, that you had invested years and time and money into building that brand, and that it was time to own it.
Yeah, I definitely did. And I definitely resonate with that, with the gut punch. I definitely resonate. I mean, not with the story of seeing someone cheating on me, but no, with the story of, this brand, Money Mindset Hub, is something I created back in October 2019. That's just over 4 years now. And so I knew, a few months ago now that, okay, I probably should have done it a long time before that, but I wasn't sure. I actually wasn't sure. I thought, would I change the name? Is this what I want to keep? Do I really love it? And then I thought to myself, well, what if someone come along and took it, and I've literally built everything off it? All of my website, my social media, my podcast, all of it is called Money Mindset Hub. And that did not exist because I did what you said. When that name came to me one day, I thought, okay, I'm going to Google it. I'm going to look at it everywhere. All the social media platforms, Google, .com, I tried everything to search that name and no one had it. So I knew that it came to me for a reason and it was mine. And then when I asked myself, are you really going to change it, Carla? And the answer was no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to change it. And what if someone did come along and take it, and something that I've spent 4 years building, it just made me feel like a pit in my stomach. Or maybe that's like your gut punch, right?
The gut punch, yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, all right, that's it. Reach out to Sarah, get this done.
Yeah, exactly. And, trademarks take a long time to do, like a year at least. But once you file your application, your legal protection starts. So if someone else comes, a few months later, or even a few minutes later, the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office won't even look at their application, and it's similar in other countries as well. So it really is, that's why I say it is more of an emotional thing, because, for me, Destination Legal wasn't my first trademark. I actually first trademarked Protect Your Passion because I was really invested in that. I loved that. the thought of someone else using it upset me. So I went for that even before my business name. So it doesn't necessarily even have to be your business name. If you have other slogans or things that you're using in your marketing, they can be valuable trademarks as well.
Yeah, that's it. I'm glad you mentioned that too. It's not just about your business name that you can trademark. It's also names of programs, names of products, taglines, slogans that you use that are uniquely yours. You can also trademark them so people cannot use them.
Yeah.
Oh God, I had a question and it just left me. Don't you hate when that happens? Like mid-talking?
Yes,
Like,
of course.
oh, that's a good one. And now it's gone. Oh, anyway, okay, that's gone. That's gone. It'll come back to me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll edit that little rant out. But what's another thing I want to mention? I suppose, okay, other than that, I suppose it's so important to have the illegal stuff sorted. It's so important to do all that. Oh no, here it is. Okay, so one thing that just popped into my mind was sometimes people do think it's enough to have the business name, to own the name, to register for the name, but it's not. So I really want to make that really clear here too. You can own the name in your country, but someone can still go and trademark it, and then you're not allowed to use that name, regardless of whether it's registered to you or not. Have you had that happen many a times? Like people just got confused, they didn't know?
Yeah, I think people don't really realize. So when you register as a business entity, or in the US it's an LLC, you guys have corporations, similar things. Just naming it doesn't give you any actual ownership other than you can use it as a business name in the specific territory or state and that you registered it. So trademark law is something totally different. So here what happens is, and actually to make it more confusing in the US, you can trademark it within your state, but then if someone gets the federal trademark, then they can stop you from using it. And so that's why it's really important. So registering as a business name doesn't get you trademark rights, and trademark rights are what allow you to really own it and say that other people can't use it.
Yeah, perfect. All right, that's all cleared up. So everyone knows that now. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of trademark registrations come through of, oh my God, I've been doing this for years and I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
I suppose on a different note, I kind of want to talk about you as well and your journey to get here in entrepreneurship and also being a mum and how you found that. I love speaking to other mums as well because, I mean, I have 3 kids myself. I know you've got 2, still a handful, right? And so it's a big deal growing a business and being a full-time entrepreneur as well as being a mum and wearing so many hats. Like, how have you found that journey?
Yeah, it's a journey, that's for sure. So, I went to law school, many millennials ago, right? And quickly realized I didn't actually want to be a lawyer. I was working at a law firm in DC. I was 25 and making this big, law firm salary, and I thought it's what I wanted, and I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't. And I stuck it out for about 2 years, but then I left because I wanted to be more fulfilled. I didn't want to work 1,000 hours a week. I wanted to travel. I wanted to feel like I was really helping people. So I spent the next chapter of my career working in international global health, doing some legal treaties and things like that. I got to travel all, to Asia and Africa and the Middle East. It was really amazing. But when I wasn't traveling, I was sitting in a windowless office writing reports for the government who probably never read them. And so I started Googling, this was about 10 years ago now, work and travel, get paid to travel. Like I wanted to figure something out. And I stumbled upon a podcast where there were these 2 dudes who had started an online business from their laptop and were living in Bali. And I was like, this is a thing? Like you can do this? I thought the only option was like to be a travel agent or work on a cruise line. And so I started listening to their podcast every day to and from my walk for work. And eventually after a while, I was just unhappy. Like I had a great job. I had amazing friends. I was living in this great city and I still just felt like something was missing. And I sat on the floor of my apartment and wrote out like, what did I really want? And my answer was like, I just wanted to be able to work from anywhere, whether it was like Starbucks or Thailand. Like, I just wanted flexibility. And pretty soon after that, this group offered, these two guys who were doing this podcast offered a 2-week workshop on how to start an online business on a tropical island in the Philippines. So I quit my job, I cashed in my 401k, and I went to this workshop in the Philippines. And that's where I started my first online business. It was called The Bootstrap Lawyer. And that eventually became Destination Legal, although there were definitely some waves in there. But I knew I wanted the flexibility, whether it was to travel or be at home with my kids. I, at the time, was single and hadn't even met my husband yet, but I always knew that I didn't want to be a slog at a 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. And so that's all. Freedom and flexibility has always been a huge part of why we do what we do. I now have 2 kiddos who are 2.5 and almost 5. And actually in 32 days, we're moving to Italy. Like, we're spending next year traveling, and we're going to do the digital nomad thing. So, as you know, when you have young kids, the thought of trying to travel is kind of a nightmare. But now I feel like we're in this little bit of a sweet spot where, we're not lugging around cribs and stuff, and they're not old enough to, have a bunch of friends. So we're going to try it out. And it's really exciting because it feels like a lot of what Destination Legal is all about. It's not just, legal is your destination, but it's what this type of business, what an online business and a freedom business can do for you.
That honestly gave me goosebumps. When you said you were going to move to Italy, I got goosebumps all over my body. That's amazing. And they're so little as well. Similar ages to mine. I've got a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 6-year-old.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Punch them ones out pretty quick. But
yeah.
But no, I get it. You're in that sweet spot of like, they're still a little bit too young to really have their own roots in the town that you're in. So you kind of can move around, and they're not baby
Yeah.
that have to take so much with you. So why not? I think it's amazing. And that just makes total sense, Destination Legal being your business name. It's because you can, like, when you have an online business, it is complete freedom. You can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
You can support an unlimited amount of people, right? Depending on what it is that you're offering.
Yeah.
But it can be global. And that's the best part. And also it's around your kids, right? So you're building your life by design, which is around your family and what you want to do and achieve in your life and what you want to experience. And you know this too. Look how fast your kids grow up.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And, even though, again, like, I'll be honest, like, I don't love talking about contracts for 24 hours a day, but I love what contracts do for people. I love what legal does for businesses, because I truly believe, and I'm sure you believe this too, the more women that have money and that are wealthy and are running businesses that they love, the better off we all are. So it's like my little piece of support on the legal side to make sure that women are doing it in a smart and protected way.
Absolutely. It's this beautiful domino effect that flows on, right? It's not just about you and your life and what you get to do, have an experience, but it's also that flows onto your children and your children's children. And honestly, I just want to see a world where women fully back themselves and create these beautiful, abundant lives, whatever that means to them, so that they can have that freedom and that space to then raise children who can actually follow their light. Because the more wealth we have, the more wealth and success we have, the more we're able to not let our kids miss out. They don't have to miss out like we potentially did, right? And follow what lights us up, not have to go down a traditional route if that's not what they want to do. And imagine that. Imagine a world where the children were all supported to follow what it was that lights them up. It'd be such a more beautiful, happier, calmer world that we would live in if everyone was doing what actually lit them up, and not have to decondition and recondition all the things that they learned, about themselves.
I love that so much. And our almost 5-year-old is, has a lot of energy, and I think, is a bit neurodivergent. And so I think for him, he loves new experiences and new things all the time. So I think for him, travel is really going to be great. But the flexibility. Speaking of him, he was home today with a little bit of a stomach bug, and he spent a couple hours next to me, just on watching a movie on the bed while I'm working and doing things, and not having to ask a boss if I can go pick up my sick kid from school. Like, it's just all of that now I've been doing this for so long, I would be totally unemployable. Like, I could not.
I love that though. I honestly think you get to this point of becoming unemployable.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I don't think that the freedom and the flexibility, like nothing comes close to it. Like right now, here we are having this interview, this podcast, and my 2.5-year-old is sitting in the room next to us in the theater watching Peppa Pig. So she may pop her head out in a minute. The other two are at kinder and school, but she's here. And it's like, if I just set her up with some snacks and some Peppa Pig, she'll be sweet.
Yeah,
she'll
totally.
be sweet for a minute, and then we'll go play and we'll go hang, and that's work done for the day. You know what I mean?
And and I think them seeing like mommy has to do some work or mommy has to go to work, like it is interesting because they'll grow up thinking parents just work from home or whatever, very different than maybe my traditional friends' parents who go to a job. But I think that's great that they can see that kind of balance.
Yeah, I love explaining it. I think, my eldest who's 6, she gets it a lot more. My son who's 4, not so much, but but he will. Like, for her as well, I explain to her what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and what my vision kind of is. And I always say to her, I just want you to do what you love, because a lot of people have jobs, but you know what? You can actually make your own job. Like, I've been planting these seeds since she was little. Like, you can create your own money. You can create your own freedom, your own success, your own happiness. Everything is a choice. You don't have to do what other people are doing. And it's funny too, this is her first year of school, and there's a lot of conditioning that is starting to come out, and she's very inquisitive. So she asks a lot of questions, and she notices a lot, like, what do the parents do? Whose parents are there for the special days, or who can pick them up, and what kids actually have to go to after school care and before school care because their parents work traditional jobs. And like, she's starting to be aware of, oh, this is like, you get to choose. Everyone does something different. It's not just the same, but it's very interesting. I suppose I always had that traditional upbringing, which was go to school, get good grades, go to uni, get a degree, get a good job. Like, if you clock 6 figures, you've made it.
Yeah.
Get married, have kids, retire.
Yeah. I went to law school because I really didn't know what else to do. Like, back then it was like you had one job or one career, and it is different today where you can't actually experiment. And they have university majors for entrepreneurship and things like that. But for us, like, uni was kind of the path where I agree, like with my kids, I'm gonna be like, if you want, but also there are other roads that you can take.
Absolutely. And that's even something we've already had a discussion about, because I said to her, she loves school and she's going amazing at it, which is awesome. And I'm like, she asked the other day, well, how long will you be at school for? And I said, oh, well, until you're 18. She's like, but I'm only 6. I was like, well, yeah, like, some people choose to go to school after that. I did for 3 years. I went to school called university after high school. But again, I've also had those conversations with her. Like, you don't actually have to do that though. You don't have to, unless there's a job or a career that you really want. But who knows what you want to do? Just do the things that you enjoy, because as long as you're happy, that's all we care about. I don't want you to be pressured in any way. So it's so cool to do that too. I think because you see what your own conditioning was and what your own understanding was of what's possible for you and what way you have to go. Like, your version of success was very heavily dictated on what you saw growing up. Yeah. And then when you start to step outside the box and do things your own way and follow your own path, you realize how unlimited possibilities there are. Like, it's unlimited as to what you can do. There is no box that you need to fit into. And that's what's amazing when it comes to the internet. I mean, who knows what's going to happen over the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years, but I think it's just going to be there's going to be so much more freedom and opportunity for so many people that there never was. So like, we're living in a brilliant time. And truly, if you've been sitting on a business idea for a long time, or you've really wanted to start something of your own, just start. Like, you know, it's a journey, right? And we never have it mapped out at the beginning. We don't really know. Like, it takes turns, and like, it's a journey, but it's definitely one of self-discovery. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you hit on something really important, which is I think so many people just don't imagine or dream big enough. I know, you know, I have certainly been guilty of that in the past, because we do kind of grow up in these structures where we're like, right, there's a ceiling, but there isn't one, right? That's just of our own creation.
That's it. It's just societal conditioning to think that there is. But I think when you begin to unlearn what you learned, and it's honestly by being around other people and being around expanders in your world, you start to see what's possible. Like, Sarah, I remember it was a few years ago, I remember seeing someone who said she'd earned $20,000 in a month. Working for herself. And my mind was blown. And this so many years ago, I can't even remember. I was long before I started a business. But and then I'd come across, you know, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, 150, $1 million in a month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wild.
Yeah. I remember starting, Well, I was just going to say, when I first started out, I just wanted 5K a month. Like, that's in my own business. I just wanted to do that, right?
That's it. And we all have these goals, but I think it's also exciting to see how much you can actually create. And I think the best thing is, like, when it's for yourself and it's in the way that you want to do it, like, it is pretty fun when you wake up and have Stripe notifications, right? You've been asleep and you wake up, you're like, I'm literally making money in my sleep. And I remember seeing people say that years ago and thinking, how do I do that? You know, which is so funny, but it's only whatever the more you expand your mind, the more these possibilities and these opportunities start to come into your awareness, to be honest. You've got to start by expanding your mind as to what's possible and removing those limitations that you may not even realize are there, because I truly think if you see someone else doing it, you can do it too. Like, they're not unicorns. They just expanded their awareness and they went for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to be mindful and stuff of your time, but is there anything else you want to touch on beforehand? Oh, actually, there was one thing you were talking about before we hit record, the legal lightning call, which is your free mini audit to illuminate the legal in your business. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Destination Legal, we really help business owners in two ways. One, which you know, is we have a done for you trademark package. And then we also have a template shop, which has over 30 different contracts, terms, agreements for coaches, health coaches, online business owners. These are downloadable, do it yourself, customized within 20 minutes of your business. But something that we realized was people just want to talk. They just want to have a little bit of a sounding board, you know, before they buy. Am I getting the right thing? You know, similar to like after a therapy session, you just feel lighter, right? And so that's what a lightning call is, not even like a bolt of lightning, but also you just feel lighter if you know you're doing the right thing. So these are just free 15-minute talk with me or my team so that you can figure out exactly what you need and when, because legal really is a toolbox that you can add to. You might not need 5 contracts today. You might just need 1, but at least we can tell you what you'll need and when. So moving forward, you feel really empowered. And at Destination Legal, our motto is really making legal easy. And that's what we're trying to do with these lightning calls. So you can sign up at destinationlegal.com/lightning. And look forward to chatting with some people.
Yeah, no, I think that's brilliant, but it's exactly what you said. Sometimes people just want to ask the questions then and there, because otherwise they sort of feel like they're trying to figure it out themselves. Like, what do I need? Do I need everything? And remembering there is that free legal checklist in the show notes too, that they can get to the starting point. But if they're going through it, and they'd probably think, do I need all this on the checklist? Is that right? Like, you know, because it is something you do have to invest in, but it's investing to protect yourself, protect your business. So it's important. But they might have questions around, do I need all these things right now? Or is that something I can grow and evolve into? This is what I'm doing. So I think the lightning call is brilliant too, because I think I went back and forth with you in the DMs for a while because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. So I feel
Yeah.
like that would have been amazing. That would have been
You
amazing to do.
know, we're not LegalZoom, right? We're online business owners just like our customers, and we know what it's like to make an investment. And legal is an investment, but it's an investment now or it's investment later. And I promise you it's cheaper now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So much cheaper. Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming on. And first of all, just real quick, where can everyone find you and follow you?
Yeah, destinationlegal.com, and then on Instagram at destinationlegal, and also coming soon you can find me at legally.sarah on Instagram and TikTok, where I'll be doing more of the travel, mom, business owner, behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Oh, amazing. You're
Yeah.
branching out there. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much. I know everyone's going to get so much listening to this, and definitely going to get their hands on the checklist and the mini audits as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.